this is a wonderful addition to our staff. It's a strong move to give us a better working operation up front. If you look at some teams, they have a guy who manages the cap, does legal work, is tied into negotiations, and also somebody who knows basketball and who can be helpful in decision making regarding trades, free agency, even the draft. Although Bob and I have talked about that, and he'll see some college games and has a feel for the college game. He'll be stronger in the area of working toward toward trades, toward free agency, and working in that area. But we'll certainly see some college games, and he will have input on everything that we do as far as any decision making. In addition to that, he will be in a position where he'll continue to track the salary cap and have that vision that goes out into free agency in the future and do all of those kinds of things.
As is everything, relationships play a huge role in any of these decisions. And known Larry, long time, done business together. He signed a client of mine, Darrell Wright, who we think had a pretty good year. I think it worked out better for him. If I had known he'd be this good. But a key figure in this, me getting here, getting the opportunity to come here, was Danny Ainge. He's a great friend of mine. Clearly has a relationship with Joe, from Joe's Celtics past, being a minority owner there. And he kind of connected the dots, and that's how I came to know Joe. But this came to fruition very, very quickly over the last week.
We have a workable situation here which goes beyond just being workable. This one fit us pretty darn good. I don't think we could have done better. Bob and I know each other. We have worked on different issues. Joe obviously embraces the situation, as do I. We have Travis Slink, who does an outstanding job for us. He's a great evaluator of talent. There's no reason that Travis Slink, Bob Myers, Kirk Lacob, and Larry Riley can't work together and enjoy our work. Does that mean we're going to agree every time? I hope not. If that happens, we aren't doing our job. We all understand that. And but we can put this thing together to where we're going to move in the right direction. Everybody knows that Joe's talking about the playoffs, and with reality, you know, that's a realistic thing. That's where we're going.
For me, this was a home run. I don't know that I would have done it for any other team. Now, teams can ask and offer things, but this is, my family's here. I couldn't say this before, but this is my favorite team. This has always been my favorite team. Grew up here. Those are some of the reasons. On the business side, for me, if you ask around the league, a lot of people look at this organization and this team as a volcano waiting to erupt, a situation that is poised to do great things. Got great fans. Now with the ownership group in place, willing to spend money, with a passion for winning. If you asked all the general managers, I think, around the league, what jobs would interest them the most, I think they'd put this in the top 5, 6 jobs of the NBA because of the ownership group, because of the fact that it's got great support in the community, because it's a great city, and also because of the young players. I don't think this team is 5 players away from being in the playoffs. I think it's maybe 1 or 2 players away from being in the playoffs. You look at a lot of teams around the league, they're burdened with salary cap. They got a lot of bad contracts on the books. Potentially they have owners that aren't committed to it. And so you look at some of those teams and you say, no matter how good a job you do in your role in the front office, that team's not going to be successful. And I see it from the agent side. Certain teams, you don't want your player being drafted to for all those reasons. This is not one of those teams. This is not a team. Isn't from the agent side, this is a team you want a player being drafted to. Because if he does well, this owner's committed to keeping him. And this is a situation where you all saw it if you were all here. When the team was in the playoffs with Barron and that group, it was the biggest deal that they'd seen here in a long time.
But I guess by you re-upping, it tells me there's some unfinished business.
Yeah, I think it's, I guess you would describe it, we had the opportunity to start something here. We did get some improvement this year. We won 10 more games than the last year. That isn't enough. Nobody's satisfied. That's what you're alluding to as well. And so there's a chance to finish this job. and to move it to where we are a playoff team. I'm comfortable with that. I want to see that happen. Everybody who starts to develop something would like to take it to the end, or at least take it to the next level.
I think this team has all the potential to be one of the top 5-6 franchises in the league. It's got a great fan base. The new ownership is committed to winning. And I just think it presented for me a great opportunity to come in here and be with a guy like Larry Riley and learn from a guy like Larry Riley, who I respect tremendously. A great core group of young players. So for me, to leave what I thought was a really good situation to come here, it had to all line up perfectly, and it really did.
Why Bob Myers here?
That was an easy thing for me. I did know Bob previously, but I think that the basketball background that he has and the fact that he has worked through basketball, knows the college game and the NBA game, and then has been on the agent side of the business where you're doing contracts and you're doing negotiations. Then he has a law degree where he can manage the salary cap numbers, he can do the detail work with the league, and has all of that. It fits very nicely, and then it just so happens this guy I like, and so it all fit together very well.
Joe and the ownership group saw something in me that I could add value to this front office, and I think for me there's a lot of different ways to do it, but you're right, I can't come in the room and start making bold statements a week or two into the job. That wouldn't work for anybody. And there's also the element of getting along with people, which you can't ignore. So I have to get to know the people here. I have to get to know how they operate. I have to trust them. They're going to have to take a bigger leap of faith and trust in me. But the nice thing is they're all really good people. Larry Riley's a really good guy, and Joe and Peter Guber, great guys. And in the short amount of time I've gotten to know them, I mean, these are people you want to work with. Kirk Lake and Travis Schlink, people that you feel like you can do good things with, because in a room of 4 or 5 people, I'm not gonna have the right answer every time. I may not have the right answer half the time, but I'm gonna throw out my opinions. Other guys are gonna throw out their opinion. So it's gonna become a little bit of a balancing act. And I think with a lot of sharp minds in one room, we can come to the right decision.
And being a former agent, maybe he can help recruit?
No question, no question. When you can take a guy, in theory, they're on the other side of the business from us, so when you can take a guy from the other side of the business and incorporate him, and he knows basketball and wants to be on this side of the business, it's an effective way to approach things.
I think this team is close. I think clearly, if you were just left, Larry Riley said it well, that inside presence is going to be a huge need for this team. And it's not just offensively, it's defensively. I think if you look at all the teams that have been successful in winning championships, for the most part, they've got that anchor in the middle. And that brings toughness, that brings a last line of defense against penetration from the other team. And it also brings a level of toughness to the team to know that even if we don't outscore you tonight, even if we don't score more points or make more shots, we're going to make it hard for you to beat us. And if you watch the next 3 weeks of the playoffs, you don't see many fast breaks. You don't see many easy baskets. So the playoff atmosphere and winning a championship, to me, is a lot about defense. And I think this team certainly is going to look hard at adding a defensive presence.
Will next November we see both Curry and Ellis on this team?
I would expect so. And I like both of those guys as cornerstones of the franchise. And as I've been asked this question before, there's nobody untradeable in this business. Shaquille O'Neal was traded from the Lakers when he was a pretty good player. Last time I checked, Kevin Garnett was still a pretty good player when he went from Minnesota to Boston. So it's to say that somebody's untradeable, there are probably only 2 or 3. And then when they get older, they'll probably be tradable as well. But in general, yes, those guys are here. They're the cornerstones of our backcourt. And then we have other guys that we're not particularly looking to trade either.
What was your conversation like with Darrell when you told him, sorry, I have to leave now?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was hard. Darrell was one of my favorite guys, and he still will be. Darrell was easier because I'm going to see him a lot. And I think what was shocking for most clients, but Darrell was, hey man, that's great. I'm so happy for you. Are you happy? Is this what you want? Obviously some sadness. I won't be, I said, I'll see you a lot. I just can't do your next contract. I said, maybe we'll pay you a lot of money. Maybe we'll be signing the check, but somebody else will be doing that.
going forward with the coaching staff? How are you going to deal with that?
Joe and I have talked about that, and I spoke with Keith after the last game. We're going to take about 8, 9, or 10 days because Joe has some commitments right now. He's in New York with the Board of Governors, and he's filled up next week. After that period of time, then we will start this process of determining exactly where we're going with it. And I told Keith that. I said, look, go take some time off. If it's spring break, take your kids somewhere, do whatever, because there's been no decision made, and there will not be a decision made for a while, but it's upon us to make a decision in a timely manner, which helps the organization, helps Keith Smart, because we all need to have some idea as to where we're going in the future, but we're not under the gun here. There's no big deadline. There's no reason that you have to go do something right away.